Welcome to Investors Guide, the show that helps you find the perfect investment product in the market. This is a show for long-term investors where we look at everything that has to do with your money. We'll help you save, invest, and build a portfolio to meet all of your needs. Remember, there's an email ID at the bottom of your screen where you can write to us and send us any question you might have about your money. Over the next half hour, we'll begin with helping you sort out your real estate investments and remove any legal obstacle you might face when buying a home. We'll also help an unemployed single woman who's 55 years old generate a regular income. And in our product review, we take a look at the Morgan Stanley Growth Fund. Buying a home is one of the largest financial commitments we make in our lives. We have to make a 20-year commitment to paying back that home loan. And a lot of times we're worried about the fact that we might be cheated by a builder or the home that you buy might not have all the clearances it needs. We've seen that happen in the past and we've read it in our newspapers. So how do you make sure that the commitment you're making and the home that you're buying is completely hassle-free? Well, we've put together a checklist of documents that you can use when buying a home to make sure you have all of the clearances and that the builder is giving you value for your money. Take a look. Finding your dream home can be a daunting task, but choosing the best locality and picking colors for the walls is really the least of your worries. The real challenge is dealing with all the paperwork and the endless legal issues that come hand in hand with buying a home. So here is a quick checklist of all the documents you will need to look out for. Now there are two types of residential property transactions. The first is a new home bought directly from the builder. The other is a second sale bought from the current owners. Let's take a look at the former. If you're buying a home in a project that's under construction, the first thing you need to do is make sure the builder is one with good credentials.
The basic checklist one should look at is the developer, track record of his past projects, what has he delivered, quality, who is the architect, what is the architect's track record, who is the contractor, what is the contractor's track record, then who is the developer and what are the developer's past track record in terms of his delivery timelines. Is he in good shape? The finances are there in terms of, he can complete the project.
Once you have zeroed in on a competent developer, the next step is to ensure that the builder has the necessary ownership rights to sell you the property. The developer should be in possession of the original title deed, which confirms his legal rights over the property.
Most builders will have a title certificate. It's a short title certificate, a 2-pager or a 3-pager, which will give the history of the flow of the title. Okay, which says that who owned it, after that next who owned it, on what are the basis on which this property has come to the builder. Now many times what will happen is that there will be some builders who have purchased the property. Okay, it will show up in the title certificate. Or where some developers have got into a joint venture development.
A project will also need a slew of clearances before any construction takes place. The clearances will depend on what the property will be used for, where the project is located, and even how tall the building will be. The most common clearances include the environment clearance, the SEZ clearance, the CRZ clearance, and the airport authority clearance.
With the rapid pace of urbanization that's occurring in India right now, we're obviously putting some kind of strain on our natural resources and the local ecology. So an environmental clearance is necessary just to ensure that the property is being used for the right kind of purpose. The authority just wants to ensure that there's not going to be too high a population density that's straining the water table in the neighborhood, as well as generating a lot of sewage in the area, which cannot be processed.
Next, the developer needs permission from the local authorities to actually start building. The municipal office conducts its own investigation to ensure all plans are in accordance with legal norms, and if everything is in place, it issues a commencement certificate.
Some developers or builders might have said, okay, fine, I've got the commencement certificate. But the fact is that, yes, it might be just up to the plinth. Okay. And then they have to again apply. So many times you would find projects have been built up to the plinth, and then the fact is that they're waiting for the next set of approvals to come in. Okay. What many times happens that, developers have got approvals up to a certain height or up to a certain level. So then they have to apply for the subsequent level.
Getting all of this information on your own is not going to be easy. So many real estate experts will urge you to choose a home that has been pre-approved by a bank or any other financial institution.
Pre-approved properties are basically to do with where certain developers have approached the banks and financial institutions saying that this is my property, we evaluate it, we want you to give mortgage on our property to various purchasers who want to come. Okay, so which means that a lot of due diligence is actually done by these banks and financial institutions, starting from the title, okay, going up to where the funds coming from.
Now, most of these rules will also apply when you're buying a resale property. But since the home is already built, you can rest assured that all clearances and construction permissions have already been obtained. But you will still need to ensure that you're buying the property from the legal owner of the house and that the house is mortgage-free.
In a second-hand property, you always basically look for a certificate, share certificate. In the moment the share certificate is original, that comfort that the original certificate is actually held by the investor. If it's a duplicate, then further due diligence needs to be done. Always going for an advertisement in a newspaper, one English and one local, giving 21 days notice or more, is always gives you further comforting that there is anybody holding any rights onto this property.
An original copy of the registration deed and the title documents, that would indicate that the property is mortgage free. If there's a mortgage on the property, then 99.9% of the cases, it's the bank or the lender who has offered you a mortgage on that property would be in possession of that document. So if the seller is not able to show you a copy of the title, then it's very likely that there's a mortgage on that property.
Finally, make sure the original owner has paid off all dues and taxes on the property. Once the ownership has changed hands, you will have to bear all the unpaid charges, even if the earlier owner was liable to pay them.
You just want to ensure that all the relevant property and municipality taxes have been paid up until the point that the transfer of that property occurs in your name. You don't want to be assuming a liability on behalf of the seller, because the local authority wouldn't care that the property taxes from 2 years ago haven't been paid by the seller.
Verifying the returns of the individual who is selling the property, still checking out whether in the last 2-3 years is there any attachment on his income tax return or any notice which has been issued not clearing his return. That gives you further comfort.
Now that you've done all your groundwork and decided on which home to buy, make sure you register your sale deed with your local registrar. You will need to pay a stamp duty for this procedure, which is about 5% of the transaction value. Now, 5% may not seem like a very big amount, but consider this. If your home is worth 50 lakh rupees, your stamp duty alone will amount to 2.5 lakh rupees. So make sure you've gone through your entire checklist before you sign on the dotted line.
Move on now to our portfolio versus portfolio question. But staying with the idea of helping you buy homes this week, our portfolio question comes in from Sayani Nag, who is a single woman, Virendra. She supports a family of 4 in Delhi. Now, her aim is to buy a home in 4 years. She tells us the current value of that home is about 80 lakh rupees, which should amount to a down payment of about 16 lakh rupees. Now, she has a monthly income of 70,000. She has health insurance and life insurance, but not enough. She only has 50 lakh rupees, and she has no retirement plan at all. She's also paying some EMIs on loans that she's taken, and she has a final disposable investment amount of 15,000 rupees every month. She sent us a portfolio, which is not really a portfolio. She doesn't know what ICICI Prudential Fund she's invested in at all. DSP BlackRock World Mining, which shouldn't be in her portfolio, and the Franklin India Blue Chip Fund. Obviously haphazardly put together. If we look at it from scratch, how would you like her to get started?
I would like her to approach it differently. First go and get an adequate term cover so that if you're not around sole earning members, your family is financially covered fully. The other is just work towards a savings plan and investing it a little more aggressively. Don't set a time frame of 4 years or 3 years or 5 years for buying the house. The way I would approach it is that keep accumulating your savings, start, choose our aggressive portfolio, start making that investment. And the moment you have, whatever house you want to buy, the moment you have 25% amount as down payment for that house, if it is 1 crore rupees house, then if you have 25 lakh rupees, go ahead and buy it. The EMI for that house should not also be more than 30% of your monthly income. Subsequently, she should continue investing, and her retirement plan will be taken care of with her investment accumulation. and having a house.
Alright, so this is what you need to do, Sayani. Our aggressive portfolio is on your screen right now. Start investing in that portfolio. Like the Ranger said, when you have 25% of the value of that home in your portfolio and in your cash account, then you know that you're in a position to buy a home, and that's when you should go out and buy that home and make sure that the EMI is not more than 30% of your monthly take-home salary. You can write to us if you have a question for Dhirendra. There's an email ID at the bottom of your screen. On the other side, we'll talk about the Morgan Stanley Growth Fund. Find out if you should stay invested in this fund or is it time to pull your money out. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere.